You finally arrived. You just caught me in the middle of my usual Halloween activities, which is reading my favorite book, the Barbonomicon. But I guess we should quit reading for now and get into our Halloween video. For those of you who celebrate Halloween, you probably have some kind of Halloween tradition. If you don't have a tradition, there's probably been something that you've at least done most of your life on Halloween, or at least when you were a kid. I felt like traditions when we were kids happen more then than they do now. I don't know, as an adult, I don't really have a Halloween tradition. But of course, after going and trick-or-treating like everybody else, and as my parents were getting ready for work the next day, I would, of course, be digging into candy, but also would be watching all of the fun like Halloween specials that came on TV. Of course, now it's easy to just go to like Hulu or Netflix or whatever, and they have like a whole Halloween section. But in the 90s or early 2000s, I just kind of had to turn on the TV and go through the guide and see what was actually playing. But luckily, everybody put their Halloween themed episodes on that night or around that time, so it was pretty easy to kind of just watch Halloween episodes of different shows throughout that time. One of the shows I remember fondly watching was Tales from the Crypt. Now, this was not an actual kids show which I now know. Growing up though, I kind of thought it was a kids show. I thought it was a kid's show like Goosebumps or Are You Afraid of the Dark or something like that, but it was a lot more gruesome and also had nudity, which I don't remember seeing the nudity. In this research, the episode that we're going to be talking about is actually, it's full of nudity. So this is what happens when parents don't pay attention to what their kids are watching. I would just flip on HBO and watch Tales from the Crypt. Yeah, it was on HBO. Probably a telltale sign that it wasn't for kids, but I thought it was just a fun, spooky time to be had. It probably explains why now I really love skulls and like corpses and like weird demon type things like that, and I'm into things that I'm into because I loved watching Tales from the Crypt as a kid. And now I know that Tales from the Crypt is as iconic as it is kind of ridiculous. So Tales from the Crypt's first glanced our TVs in 1989, back when HBO was trying to figure out how much violence and camp they could shove into one episode. I think they kind of accomplished this with every single episode of Tales from the Crypt. So the show was based on a 1950s comic book of the same name, which means that, yeah, your grandparents were probably reading this while they were trying to survive the Cold War. And I actually tried to get a copy of Tales from the Crypt, but I searched like 20 different local comic book stores and nobody had them. And I also knew that I wouldn't be able to get one in time for this show. So I don't really have a comic book to read along with you. Even if I could easily find them, I wouldn't want to pay for the one that is based on the episode we're watching today. So if you haven't heard of Tales from the Crypt, it stars the Crypt Keeper, and this sassy skeleton was basically the entire show. While yes, there was like 20-ish minutes of scary stories, you really were there to see the questionable puns that the Crypt Keeper were making. They really worked on serving up punchlines, like they had to have a joke at every single second of airtime, it felt like. The Crypt Keeper introduced every episode with intentionally stereotyped jokes and mostly puns.
The Crypt Keeper having a little holiday fun. Why else would I be in this getup? Unless there was a clause in my contract.
Now that's a charge card.
But beyond the Crypt Keeper's like silly puns and trying to shove too many jokes into each second of screen time, there was actually like a crazy amount of talent behind this show. The Crypt Keeper was performed by a team of puppeteers like Van Snowden, Mike Elizade, and Patty Maloney. Van Snowden actually performed as the HR Pufnstuf character. He did puppeteering on Child's Play 2 and 3. Patty Maloney also had a voice acting role in the 1978 animated Lord of the Rings film. She played Honk from Far Out Space Nuts and Lumpy from the Star Wars Holiday Special, and as Darla Hood from the animated TV show version of The Little Rascals. She also appeared in Star Trek Voyager in 1996. Crypt Keeper is also voiced by John Kasser, who also played the Crypt Keeper in a cameo on Casper. It's wild what PG-rated movies got away with back then. Like, I can imagine the shock and terror of seeing the Crypt Keeper in the mirror while you're in the theaters watching Casper, the friendly ghost. And let's talk about the episodes. So each one of them is like a mini horror movie, except there's like some serious, like insane twist or like something that makes you say, wait, what did I just watch? Which is gonna be the episode we're talking about today. It's gonna be a very much crazy, insane twist that kind of is just leaves you wondering why you wasted your time watching it. So the big question today is, does Tales from the Crypt still hold up? Well, kind of depends. If you like campy horror with a side of cheesy, or like a whole lot of cheesy, a whole lot of just really cheesy puns. It is definitely something that I look on fondly, and even as I watch it now, I still enjoy it. Again, the episode we're watching today is the worst episode I think I've ever seen, but for the most part I actually really enjoy it. I love the practical effects, I love some of the silliness, but if you're looking for like logical stories or like high production value, like this probably doesn't hold up so much. And I'm sure throughout the 7 seasons there's probably something that's borderline offensive in some way that doesn't feel, very PC today. There's some stinkers here and there, but for the most part, it's still a pretty good show. That's basically it for the history of the show. Let's sit back and grab a big old handful of favorite candy, or the candy that you reluctantly are eating now because you've ate all the good candy, and let's just watch an episode of Tales from the Crypt. Of course, we start with like the longest intro ever, where there's not a lot of things happening other than like weird, like eerie camera shots and like some screaming. I mean, at least the Goosebumps theme had like some actual weird spooky things, some honestly pretty banging music, but this one is just sort of a long, drawn out establishing shot, essentially. So a minute and 23 seconds in, we finally see the Crypt Keeper, and we get the title shot in all of its gooey, slimy, late 80s, early 90s deliciousness.
Tales from the Crypt.
Look, lady, I'm sorry if the product made your skin fall off.
Start out with the first gag, which is, instead of Kmart, it's called Slay Mart. And I don't mean Gen Z slay or whatever. I mean, like, people are being slain, like they're being slaughtered, like they're being murdered, because this is a horror show and this is the Crypt Keeper.
But we never do exchanges on sale merchandise. Next. Some people. Maybe at Doomingdale's, the ghostimers always fright.
A lot of jokes that could have been there. They could have said Boomingdales, they could have said Gloomingdales, but instead they say Doomingdales.
Maybe at Doomingdale's, the ghostimers always fright.
But at Doomingdale's, the ghostimers always fright.
But not here.
Remember when I was talking about how many puns they really try to pack into this? I said like one every second. I really wasn't joking, because this is pretty close to one per second, it feels like. And it's, at this point, it just feels exhausting.
Attention all Slay Mart choppers. Interested in tonight's Boo Light special? It concerns a couple of crooks who are about to learn the benefits of dying wholesale. I call this bit of gash and carry Ear Today, Gone Tomorrow.
Then the Crypt Keeper opens up his book, and it actually shows one of the comic book covers, and I mean, I think that's pretty cool, because it's like, it's a little bit of an homage to the actual comic book series. So he opens up his book of tales, and you see the cover of the comic book. So this episode is called Ear Today, Gone Tomorrow. Now, I want you to imagine what that could mean in this sense. Do you think it means he gets his ears cut off by a witch and his ears are haunted and then they turn into separate people, or maybe they turn into these weird like ear monsters and walk away? Or maybe do you think that he works for a carnival and he has these giant ears and people are paying all this money to come see him, but then he gets his ears cut off and they're like sold on the black market or something like that? Maybe it's just like a frame by frame analysis of that like Mike Tyson fight where he bit off some dude's ear. All three of those would be way better than what this episode is actually about. I'm gonna leave it up to you and you judge. You know, those three ideas I just gave you, plus whatever you possibly thought of. Think about all those things, and then as we watch this episode, I want you to think back to that and think to yourself, how did this become an episode? I know they're based on the comics. I haven't read this comic, so I don't know. Maybe this comic is also this bad, but it's just hard to imagine that it could be this bad. Or maybe it's just a terrible comic book and this is just not a good one, and maybe they should have skipped it. Episode starts with this guy who we find out his name is Mr. Fennel, which is just an awesome name, honestly. Like, I think that's a pretty cool name. But he's basically trying to crack a safe, you know, the old timey way with the stethoscope. Right off, we're saying that maybe there's something special about his ears that we need to know about because he's using his ears to commit a crime. So
210, we've got an alarm. What's the problem?
Oh, it's no problem. I've always got it.
Time's up, Fennel. The police are here. And you're dead.
So Mr. Fennel fails to get it open. Whoever his accomplice is like, time's up, you're dead. I don't even know what he holds up. I thought he was holding up pepper spray, but it looks like maybe he just held up a little forget-me stick from Men in Black or something. Because then the screen goes black and you hear him get punched and fall over. Whatever he held up to his face was not the memory stick, but I don't know what it was. He was showing like his like Ghastly Pokemon card or something, I guess.
Well, I'm sorry, Mr. Lawson, but it looks like this bloke's been wasting your time.
Luckily, it was just a test, actually. So when he says time's up, can I try again? He actually was saying like, can I start this test over? Because apparently he was auditioning to be a safe cracker.
He ain't a safe cracker.
Yeah, I believe you're right, Henry. My bookies are very worried about you, Glyn. So much so that they brought your rather large debt to my attention this time.
Now, this is where the idea that he has magical ears to get cut off or something could, like, come in handy. Someone could cut off his ears because they're really valuable, because he's a really good safe cracker. But instead, he just fails his latest safe cracking exam, so he doesn't get his license back.
Man has a skill that I can trade for. In your case, I was told you have a certain expertise that could be very useful to me. One that could help you pay off your debt.
No, Mr. Lawson. It's just that I've run up against a bit of a losing streak.
So he says he's been on a bit of a losing streak. So why would you audition to be a safe cracker with somebody that you may owe a debt to if you've been on a losing streak? Why would you do that?
It's a sure thing.
You had a sure thing, you stupid ass. And you fucked it up!
Whoa, I'm honestly more impressed with how hard his face is versus how good his ears are. He got punched in the kisser earlier and looks totally fine, no busted lip or anything. And here this guy just freaking hit him in the face with the heavy, like thick, hard part of a pool cue. And he was totally fine. Not a bruise, not a busted nose, not a cut, nothing. I want to know more about what this guy's face is made out of.
Milk. Still crying over spilt milk. I thought we had moved beyond this obsession of yours.
Glyn Fennel, my wife, Kate.
His wife just walks in and he just kind of like insults her by being like, she's beautiful, but only because we paid for plastic surgery.
Her beauty is not so much a tribute to the hand of God as to the meticulous craftsmanship of some of this country's finest plastic surgeons.
No.
And then also says that he paid to have her feelings removed. So
You gave away my secret. I'm hurt.
Impossible. I thought we'd paid to have your feelings removed.
That's a lot of damage.
there's a lot of surgery involved, but in a way that only moves the plot forward, but also in a way that doesn't make sense. So Mr. Fennel begs for his life, and it seems like this lady has got a bit of a soft side, so she's going to help him out. First, she asked, for him to explain, like, how does the world's greatest safe cracker not be able to crack a safe?
What happened to the world's greatest safe cracker?
Well, I took a beating in prison and I kind of lost my hearing,
And then Mr. Fennel says that he got beat up in prison and suffered some hearing loss. So if that happened, then why are you still trying to crack safes to pay for your debt? Okay, you know that you have hearing loss. You are on a losing streak. Why would you risk your life like that? I don't understand. Surely there's other ways you can pay your debt back other than committing more crimes that may end you back up in jail where you could get beat, or just get you killed because you can't actually crack the safe because you got beat up in prison. Come on, Mr. Fennel. I really believed in you and you're letting me down.
Why don't you let him go, Malcolm? Give him one more chance.
Why?
He's cute.
It's business.
Oh, and you never mix business with pleasure, am I right?
That is my rule.
Then how do you explain me?
You, my love, are my hobby. Very expensive.
Yeah, I feel you there, Fennel. I'm kind of wondering what's going on right now too. Maybe they'll just let us go if they keep throwing around those really weird, like slightly backhanded innuendos there. So they make a deal with Mr. Fennel to let him go. His life will be spared in exchange for something else, but it will only delay his suffering. And if the safe is not cracked and his debt is not paid off in 10 days, he will kill him without any hesitation.
If, when I return in 10 days' time, I find that your debt is still outstanding, I shall kill you without any further hesitation. Not even my lovely wife will be able to save your skin a second time.
So Kate finds Mr. Fennel out at a cafe where she lowers her glasses and reveals that she has these weird, like, reptilian eyes. I guess they're supposed to be cat eyes in the way that she just meowed, and there was also this, like, meow off in the distance.
Meow. Amazing, aren't they?
This is also just not some, like, quirky, fun, like, special effect. This is also related to this entire story that I promise you will not be able to guess. There's no way you're going to guess what this has to do with anything until you get to the very end.
In 5 days, he's going to kill you. I say you'd be crazy not to accept. Let me help you, and then we can help each other.
I've told you before, I can't hear anything, can I? I mean, I can't even hear the tumblers fall.
A dumb idiot, because if he gave you a chance to live in 10 days to pay off your debt, then why would you not escape? Why would you be in a cafe where you could easily be found? Why would you not have left? And why would you not have gone to somewhere else, like another country? You just had a third, fourth, or fifth, maybe sixth chance at life here, and again, what are you doing, Glenn? But Kate says she can help him, so that he should take the deal because she knows somebody that can help fix his ears.
Ah, yes, but I know a man, a surgeon who can cure your hearing loss. He's using new and radical techniques. Help me, and you'll be rich. Decide not to, and you're as good as dead. Either way, it's a sure thing. I clearly don't understand you, Mr. Fennel. You will bet every pound you own on a long shot in hopes of hitting it big. But you will not take a slight gamble in following me to my room. Why is that?
Oh, no, I guess I'm interested in only one thing, lady. The big score.
What do you mean you're only interested in the big score? You cannot hear. What would be the big score that you would be able to get at this point? Honestly, I think the big score was you being let go, getting that second chance. You were cut free from a pool table where you were about to be murdered and told you had 10 days to pay off your debts. You could have just left. That was the big score, was that chance to leave and not die.
All taken care of. My surgeon is expecting you.
Oh, that's good, right. Well, I'll probably be on my way then.
So part of the deal that Kate has given him is that he will have a surgery. There's a doctor that she knows that has new radical techniques for surgery, and this surgery will fix his ears and he'll be able to crack the safe. And he can finally go back to his life of crime.
We've been pumping pig insulin into diabetics for generations. It was really only a matter of time before we made full use of all their transplantable organs. We've even used bone marrow from baboons to fight off retroviruses.
Baboons?
So the doctor explains that they're taking pigs and baboons and other animals and using their body parts to cure or help humans who are missing those body parts or have defective body parts. And Glenn is like just not having it. He refuses to have the heart of a baboon, the rib cage of a large cat, the brain of a whale. Even if that means he can hear the tumblers again, he refuses to have the surgery. Or so he thinks.
I know, I do, but I mean, I don't want to wake up and find a couple of chimps here stuck in my head, do I?
By giving you the auditory system of an owl.
Yeah, just the mention of him having the ability to hear like an owl makes him faint. Makes him faint so hard that he has the whole surgery from fainting. Again, there are just so many other ways that this could have happened. Like the doctor could have stabbed him with a needle or like the tranquilizer or something like that and went forward with the surgery. But no, that couldn't happen. He's just going to faint. He's just going to get his heebies-jeebied so bad that he faints. And the doctor can perform the whole surgery while he's fainted because, God forbid, he suggests that he give him the ears of an owl.
Can you hear me, Glenn? Wake up, Glenn.
What happened? The operation was a success.
So he wakes up and he can finally hear. He can hear as good as I can when I take my ADHD medicine. Later, he's at dinner. Kate's smoking a cigarette. He's like, hey, you should stop that. I can hear your heart beating or something. Apparently, owls can hear so well that they know what your blood pressure is. Not just how fast your heart beating, but he's like, hey, your blood pressure's pretty high from smoking.
You should stop smoking.
It makes it seem like they cut him free. They give him the deal. They say, you've got 10 days. And then like the next day, Kate finds him in like the cafe, you know, getting a scone or whatever. And then they has a surgery and, you know, maybe we're like 3 or 4 days into this. 9 days? He spent this whole time and he was just a scone's throw away. He was just so out to lunch that he forgot that he was going to be murdered in 10 days. He was just out getting a freaking biscuit and tea or whatever. I don't even think we're in England, but he is English, so I'm assuming he was out getting a freaking dilly wink and a can of beans with a side of fish fingers. I don't know.
Impress me.
Of course, there's a stethoscope just on top of the safe. We all have stethoscopes on top of our safe. But Glenn doesn't need it. He has owl ears. So now he's going to be able to hear the tumblers like he can hear tumblers like a church bell ringing or somebody chewing when you really hate people chewing. I don't know of a good analogy for hearing, but he's going to be able to hear everything tumble, all of them tumble. Right, he's going to hear good.
Well done, Glenn. I beg your pardon?
I warned you, Puttycat. Smoking kills.
With the final line, he says, smoking kills. As a callback to earlier where he said you should quit smoking. So he shoots her. You can hear like a cat getting hurt in the background. Again, like what are all the cat references? And then she coughs up a hairball and he says,
You know, one thing I hate worse than smoking is fur balls.
One thing I hate worse than smoking is fur balls, which is just a crazy thing to say. Hating smoking, like I understand that, but who is sitting around like just seething thinking about fur balls? How many fur balls are they coming in contact with? I can understand, like you see people smoking every day, like you could hate that. How many fur balls are you seeing a day, Glenn?
We've got some filthy habits.
People got some filthy habits. Yes, smoking, yes. Are you like often coming in contact with people who have fur balls, who are licking themselves clean and coughing up fur balls. If I just shot somebody and I saw somebody cough up a fur ball, I wouldn't be thinking, oh, people have some filthy habits. I would be wondering where it came from. He acts like people coughing up fur balls is just like a normal thing, and he just like can't stand it. Can't stand the amount of people coughing up fur balls.
All bloody 9 of them. Or in my case, 8. Some side effects are better than others, Glenn. Wouldn't you agree? We
find out Kate is a cat. She's a cat. She had a cat surgery. That's why she's a cat. That's why she coughed up the fur ball. She's a cat. That's why she got her. That's why I kept hearing the cat meows. And she got the eyes. She's a cat.
Ooh, to who?
Then next, Glenn he hoots like an owl because he's an owl. He's got the owl ears, so he hoots like an owl because he's got the owl ears. He's an owl and she's a cat.
I think you mean to whom, Glenn? To whom?
And then Mr. Lawson comes back in and just destroys him with the grammatical quip. He be knowing sentence structures, okay? He may be killing people left and right with weapons, but he also reads a book or two, okay? He knows how to structure a sentence. Then a beak pops out of Glenn's face, an owl beak. I thought he just got the ears. And which part of the cat did Kate get? She has 10 lives. She doesn't look like a cat other than the eyes, but she has all the benefits of being a cat and the disadvantages like the fur ball. But she doesn't have a cat's face. So why did Glenn just get the ears, but his whole face turned into an owl face?
What have you done to me? Done to you? My goodness, it's what you've done for me that's exciting. I settle for mere cosmetic surgery when you can sample all of Mother Nature.
Being beautiful is one thing, but in our business, having a few extra lives can come in handy.
So after the back and forth, terrible animal puns, the doctor finally decides to, end Glenn's life by cutting open what looks like a packet of Taco Bell sauce.
Poor Glenn. I hope his Boo Cross policy's in force. Sounded to me like he got in his screamium just in time.
Boo Cross policy? Blue Cross, Boo Cross, Ghoul Cross, Cruel Cross, Blue Crucifix. I don't know. Probably could have been some better jokes, but they were at season 7. So, and this is a terrible episode. They probably didn't put their best puns in this episode.
Now that's a charge card. Woo!
But like I said in the beginning, the lack of like logical stories or like high production and even like high quality writing is like kind of part of the charm. But overall, Tales from the Crypt is still a pretty good show. Like yes, the Crypt Keeper's jokes are like pretty cheesy, but honestly I really enjoy the practical effects in this. I really enjoy the puppeteering. I enjoy that it's not like overly produced. Like those are the kind of things that I like. Like growing up, I really enjoyed those kind of movies. Like obviously I didn't have a ton of CGI growing up. It wasn't really like a thing really, until we got Shrek. But watching like Dark Castles and Labyrinth and The Neverending Story and like all those types of movies that had the practical effects, had the puppets, and had to really rely on like camera shots and angles to like make things look correct. Like those are the things that I really enjoyed growing up, and they're things that I still enjoy now. But let me know, like, is this the first time you've ever seen Tales from the Crypt? Did you even know it was a show? There's even an animated version that I might do a video on later, but I wanted to really just focus on a little bit of nostalgia bait and watch something that I've really held close and dear to my heart. And I think the show has affected my humor and just like the kind of things, the imagery, the things that I'm into. I love to hear your thoughts, and also just hear your thoughts on like this really terrible episode. And if you have watched it before, let me know what your favorite episode is. I'm going back through and rewatching all of them because they're all on YouTube, and so I'd love to know what everybody's favorite episode is, so I can just give it a gander. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching another video. Sorry for the delay. I went on vacation and then came back to work, and there's a lot of things going on, and I've just got behind. But I've got another video coming out soon that'll be a little bit different. It won't be a review. It's just gonna be a little bit of a fun thing that I want to try. So I'll see you guys in a few weeks. All right, bye.